Hello and welcome to Green Pass Gaming's Thursday podcast. As you probably know, we've shifted nights to Thursdays. Sundays wasn't quite working out for us, so here we are. It's 8 o'clock p.m. in the UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, midday Pacific. And welcome, and thanks for being here if you're with us this early in the show. So today we've got a pretty, I suppose, quite a special show lined up because we started a little bit later than we'd perhaps planned in January with our first show, and obviously we couldn't not cover the huge acquisition news at the time. We kind of delayed this week's show a little bit, and well, here it is. This is our most anticipated games of 2022, and anyone that watched the Christmas show would probably recognise the format, and I will explain the rules of how it all works in a second. But before I do any of that, let's meet the crew, the GPG crew here once again, assembled for your pleasure. And let's go down in order. And again, Scott, you're first on the list today. How the devil are you, my friend? And what have you been up to?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, not an awful lot. I think we might mention it on last week's show. I've been a little unwell. I've got myself a little bout of food poisoning after getting COVID. So genuinely, I've played very little games. That since we spoke last Thursday, I pretty much went a week without touching my console. So I dabbled in a little bit of Halo and a little bit of Nobody Saves the World, but unfortunately, not too much. Thankfully, feeling a lot better now. Today's the kind of the first day I've genuinely felt human in probably a month now. So I'm actually really looking forward to tonight's show because I feel better. And also I was gutted, like genuinely gutted, because I was unwell before Christmas. I missed the Gordy show where we did the tier list. Then you guys did a great job. So I'm looking forward to getting into that tonight.
Well, credit to you, my friend. You was the one that kind of suggested the tier list that we use, and I'll just scroll up. Hopefully you can see that. We use Tier Maker for this free website, and it's fantastic. And you've probably seen this because they tend to do sort of SABC classes on weapons and meta weapons on things like Warzone and Fortnite and things like that. So, yes, we're putting this to a slightly different use tonight. Puxley, welcome to the show, my friend. What have you been up to in the last 7 days?
Hello, good evening, everybody. Yes, I've been real well, thanks. I think last week, you may remember, I mentioned that I had bought Shenmue on a sale.
Yes.
And was playing that. I've since finished the first game. Wow. Quite enjoyed it. Obviously, overall, the game is relatively clunky to today's standards, but I did enjoy it. To which I subsequently then jumped on Yakuza Like a Dragon, which you recommended, and I've kind of fallen in love with that as well. So
nice.
Yeah, I thought
a lot of my, and it's the first Yakuza game I've ever played. My cousin's absolutely hot on this series. Always tried to convince me to play it. I never really was that bothered until I say you suggested it. Played Shenmue, really liked it. Jumped on Like a Dragon, and yeah, I've absolutely fallen in love with it. The story is gripping me. It's ridiculous Japanese.
Yeah.
Weirdness, which is great. And I think outside of that, I remember on the FPS boost stuff, Sonic Generations is one of the games that was mentioned on that when that was all kind of doing the rounds a couple of weeks or months ago. And it was actually on sale last week for about £3. So I bought that as well, and I jumped into a bit of that, which was good fun.
Fantastic.
I don't know if it's still on sale. I think when I picked it up, I picked up about 5 days ago. It was like
they've got the Lunar sale on at the moment, and I was going to pick up Metro Exodus for about £6 or something. I still haven't played that game, so I know you like it, Luke. It's probably worth £6 of anyone's money, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, good game.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the show, Luke. What have you been up to in the last week?
Yeah, not that much actually. I've been horrendously busy, unfortunately. So mainly just Metroid Dread. Actually, I'm really progressing quite slowly through that, but I'm really enjoying it. So, and apart from that, I mean, just again a bit of Halo multiplayer and a bit of Forza. That I kind of and a bit of Fall Guys as well. Fall Guys, which I've kind of got back into after not playing it for like half a year.
I did not think I was going to hear you playing Fall Guys. Seriously, what, on PS5 or PC?
On PC. It's a great game to just drop in, drop out of. I really enjoy it. And because I haven't played it in so long, they have so many extra stages and, courses now. I mean, it's just insane, the content that's there. So it's really cool. I hope it comes to Xbox and Switch, etc. soon, properly, because It's a really good game.
Well, there were rumours of it coming, wasn't there? But it all kind of fell through.
Yeah.
And as you'll probably notice, it is. Well, it's not
confirmed.
It's not on our 2022 list, is it?
Well, the bastards said it would come out in summer 2022, and then in July or August they were like, "Oh, we're delaying it," and then they basically haven't said anything because I think the reasoning behind it was more around like cross-play and cross-progression, but they've delayed it with quite late, I think, in my opinion. And for a port, it seems quite strange to delay it, first of all. And it's like obviously not the most taxing of games. And secondly, just we've heard nothing of it since, which is a massive shame because I'm really looking forward to trying that with friends. And I'm just concerned that maybe the moment will have passed when it eventually gets here. The moment may have already passed. I don't know. So hopefully they can bring it soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's a really fun game.
It is a fun game, isn't it? And to be honest, Pucks, me and you, we've done a video, didn't it? It was on Green Pass Gaming where you made it all the way through and come second out of everyone. It's on the channel. Check it out. I think it's GPG Plays Fall Guys, so it's there. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
So, well, should we crack on? I mean, we've got to do some thank yous. Obviously, thank you very much for being here, everyone. We did. Obviously with the huge acquisition news, there's still lots of kind of fallout and stuff happening. But I think we decided to kind of give that topic a rest at the moment. I know people are excited by it, and it's been done to death at the moment. And we've probably got a good 6 to 18 months of this left to come. So we thought we'd give it a rest tonight, and we'll move on to what else is exciting in 2022, and that's pretty much the games. Now, this is cross-platform, so you will see some Nintendo only, PlayStation only, and a couple of Xbox only games in there as well. So, and obviously, we've not played any of these games. So, unlike the show at Christmas where we could actually pick our top 10 from games we've actually played, we're going to have to make a best guess on how we feel and the ones that we're actually most excited and anticipate. So. Similar rules to last time. I think we're just going to have the discussion. We're going to whittle this list of contenders down to 10, and then once we're going to be placing them in reverse order from 10 all the way up to 1 until we come to our most anticipated game of 2022. And I've got to be honest, I really don't know what that's going to be looking at the list. And slight typo down the bottom. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Refall. Ignore that. We can't really do much with that. We can't delete it for some reason, so just ignore that. That should have said Redfall, but that's absolutely fine. So should we kick off then? Chat, let us know if there's any games on this list that are missing. It's by no means a complete or full list. That there may be the odd game that slipped through our particular net. And also, as we go, just let us know what you're excited for, and more importantly, why. And we can read some of those comments out as we go. Scott, let's come to you first, my friend. Now, we've got a few categories. So we can kind of put it in one of three places at the moment. We can either give games an honourable mention, or we can suggest that they're not particularly on our radar, or we can just stick them in what we've colloquially called 12 minutes, or otherwise known as the bin. So
just for Luke, that one. That was pretty funny last time round. So
it was the only one that went in the bin actually as well, wasn't it? I think
that's why the category was named 12 minutes, because it was
honorary mention.
So, obviously we've got 36 games here that we need to whittle down to 10, which that's I think that's going to take some effort. But obviously maybe not all of these games are going to be on our radars, hence the not on our radar category. We should probably just say to chat, obviously we've got 36 games here that were sort of games that I guess should come out in 2022, or at least have a 2022 date so far. So there's no Fable on here, there's no Perfect Dark games that aren't coming out this year, or aren't included on the list. So I'm not going to start with anything in the bin. I don't think so. I think what I'll maybe do is I want to kind of start, I guess, positively, and I think I'll try to put one in the honorable mentions list, and that's Elden Ring. No, I'm joking. It's not going to be Elden Ring. I think I'll go for Gotham Knights. So I don't think this will probably crack anyone's top 10, but please tell me if it is tickling anybody's fancy. But this is a game that I've been sort of cautiously optimistic about, and to be fair, quite similar to Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, where it's obviously a co-op game based in the Batman universe, which in my opinion looks fantastic from what they've shown so far. It would, like I say, it wouldn't quite crack my top 10. Kind of one of the things I'm most disappointed about is there are 4 playable characters in the game, but it's only 2-player co-op. For some reason, it kind of feels like it was fit for kind of like a 4-player co-op experience, one for each character, but I think from what they've shown so far, it actually looks pretty good. So I'm looking forward to checking out. It was initially due to come out in 2021, and it was delayed again alongside Suicide Squad, which I think was also originally due out for in 2021. So yeah, I think I'll put that as an honorable mention for now. But does anybody else have any particular thoughts on Gotham Knights?
I checked out the trailer and I thought it actually looked pretty damn good. Actually, I could get excited for that kind of game. It's one of those games that there's going to have to be nothing else that's bigger than it at the time for me to get excited about it. If that makes sense. I know that sounds quite obvious, but yeah, Warner Brothers games have been quite busy, and this is like you say, due to come out this year, and it's also multi-plat as well. So PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S. But yeah, Pucks, Luke, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Huge fan of the Batman Arkham games. Obviously, this isn't by Rocksteady. This is, I think, Warner Brothers Montreal.
Yes, that's right. So the same guys that did Arkham
Origin.
Yeah,
which was excellent. I'm, from what I've seen, it looks really good. I am again hesitant that it's pushing in a multiplayer-ish direction. I mean, clearly it's, not a full-on multiplayer game, but you can play it co-op. I just wonder what the implications for that will be if you don't want to do that. Much like Suicide Squad, actually. But it looks really good. It's clearly leaning into the Court of Owls storyline from the comics, which is really awesome. I think it actually takes place. It's not the same universe as the Batman games, the Arkham games. It's actually a separate universe, I believe, because I think Suicide Squad is continuing that universe, but just not, it's not involving directly Batman. So, I'm looking forward to it. It looked cool from what's been shown so far.
Would it crack your top 10, Luke? Would you...
No, it wouldn't crack top 10.
Okay, cool.
No, it sounds like it's in the right place, and I think that's about right, to be honest. Yeah. Pucks, any thoughts on Gotham Knights, and what were your next game pick be?
I think Gotham Knights here is in the right place. I don't necessarily have loads of excitement for it, but again, I love the Arkham games, and when I last saw the trailer, or the gameplay trailer for this, it looked very similar. I know a lot of people at the time were kind of, I don't think criticizing is the right word, but I remember seeing a number of comments saying that it didn't look much different from the Arkham games, yet just kind of slapping some co-op on. I think a lot of people, from what they saw, were kind of questioning how good it looked. But again, everyone does that nowadays, and you can't really question a whole game just based on a 30-second gameplay trailer. But no, from what I've seen of it, I look really excited for it. But my next pick, I think I'm going to do a Scott and also pick one I think should sit in the honorable mention. This might be wrong, but I think Crossfire X has been quite an exciting game, which, an interesting game we've all been kind of waiting for a long time, and it's due to be out very soon, isn't it? But there's kind of little to no fanfare about it. Not really people really seem to. Sorry, it's not really being marketed much at all, from what I've seen at least, But then I think, given the whole, I know it's very early days, but I think the whole Activision Blizzard acquisition stuff doing the rounds, and the prospect that Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass in the longer term future, whatever else, is in a way potentially going to. Maybe it's too soon for me to say this, but I can't help but feel that the general popularity of Call of Duty, and especially if people are going to be playing it on Game Pass eventually, will just make this game kind of fall by the wayside. Not to say that that's discrediting it as it is right now, but For me, it doesn't sit in the top 10, but I love FPS shooters and it looks good, but I'm not necessarily looking forward to it compared to a number of others on this list.
No, that's interesting because I played the multiplayer demo. Cracky, it was a while ago now. It feels like a really long time ago. And again, I believe there's a video. We've got a video up on GPG with me playing that and just kind of describing it as I go. And it was okay. And I think at the time, perhaps naively, I was thinking, I wonder if this is kind of trying to be Microsoft's answer to Call of Duty multiplayer. I know it couldn't compete shoulder to shoulder. I know that. But at least to try and draw some of the crowd away, or at least try and retain some of the crowd. But obviously that's kind of gone a bit sideways now. But so the multiplayer side of things was kind of fun, kind of okay, a bit clunky as you might expect. I don't know how much it's going to change from its beta sort of outing that it had. But I think the single player, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's made by Remedy. That really intrigued me, and all of the footage that we've seen of the single player side of things really kind of draws me in. So I'm actually quite excited for it. But there is the caveat that the multiplayer will be part of Game Pass, but the single player will be purchased separately, which I find completely bizarre. Scott, what's your take?
Yeah, so just on that, it's probably worth mentioning that Crossfire X it's about 15 years old or something.
Oh yeah,
maybe a little less.
Well,
I
believe Crossfire isn't it? It's called Crossfire.
Crossfire, yeah. Sorry, but that is the multiplayer portion that's going to be coming to Xbox, and I played the beta as well, Flap. So I believe that's pretty big in Korea, or particularly in Asia. I think that's developed by Smilegate. And my main takeaway from playing the beta is it felt ancient. It felt like a step back in time, and I was playing Counter-Strike for the first time, but not a particularly good version of Counter-Strike, which really dampened my expectations for the game. However, obviously the single player portion is a Remedy game, and looks, at least from what they've shown, actually be quite good, I think. And obviously Remedy, I think that name alone obviously gets a little bit of excitement. So I'm really looking forward to the single player portion of the game. The multiplayer, unfortunately, not so much. And I guess it's probably worth mentioning the reason that it's split like that, Flap, is the multiplayer is completely free to play. So it's not in Game Pass, it's free to play, and then you can purchase a single player separately. So it's kind of like a little bit of a Halo, but without the Game Pass.
Yeah, no, I'd kind of forgotten that actually. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I still find it strange that as an Xbox exclusive, it's not going straight into Game Pass. It just seems odd. Yeah, makes me wonder what's gone wrong there.
Can you remember the? I can't remember which show it was. I think it was an E3 show where Microsoft came out and said every game that we show is on Game Pass
with a little asterisk.
Crossfire X, and there's a little asterisk under that's in, except for the single player version portion of this.
That was a bit crazy. I mean, if they could afford to spend 70 billion on the acquisition, you'd think that they might be able to close that deal and get that onto Game Pass. It feels like it's a Remedy thing, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. But I think the Remedy thing, like I said, does carry some weight, and I think Pox has put that in the right spot. I'm looking forward to the single player. It's out February 10th, so it's pretty soon. Probably worth mentioning. So, although we'll probably get into February soon. February is pretty stacked already, so we'll see where it sits. Yes, I think Pox has nailed that, in my opinion.
Fantastic, Luke. Anything extra to add?
It's one of those that's almost teetering between not on radar and the bin. For me.
Wow.
So multiplayer doesn't interest me at all. It's just a Counter-Strike ripoff. The single player, I'm glad it's being, as people have mentioned, it's being done by Remedy. So that does make me somewhat excited. But all I've really seen is, that one trailer, which looked good. But not enough to kind of get me very excited about buying it. I think I need to see some kind of extended gameplay. Because if it's kind of a really good Call of Duty campaign level, then I think it would be honorable mention. But because I don't know if it is, it's kind of not on. I'm not going to put it in the bin, but it's not on radar for me. But I don't disagree if people are putting it. I'm not that vehemently against it being honourable
Yeah,
mention.
no, that's a fair point. And like you say, there are going to be some crossovers and stuff. And I think you're right. Obviously we don't know what it's going to be like. And Remedy's shooting mechanics are kind of okay. I don't know if something is as intense as, like you say, a Call of Duty kind of campaign. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of deal with that, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I suppose,
look,
given said that, I mean, I am happy to move it into the not on our radar instead.
No, I would put it honourable mention. So I think that's
fair enough.
There's a consensus. So Luke, go on. You're up next.
I'm not going to start that positively. I'm going to go for a bin one, but
Ooh.
so I'm going to put Tiny Tina's Wonderland
in a bin, right?
In 12 minutes. I mean, it's a Borderlands game. Borderlands sucks, to be honest. It's not good. It's really, kind of crappy. I don't particularly enjoy it. And this is coming from someone who loves looter shooters as well, or looting games in general. Yeah. So I always thought I'd really enjoy Borderlands. I've picked up every single one in some form or another, tried to play it, didn't enjoy it. I bought Borderlands 3 and said I'm going to give it a really good bash. And I got an hour in and I turned it off and I've not been back. So, this is just, more Borderlands in a different world, basically, in a fantasy world. Doesn't interest me. It can go in the bin.
Wow. Well, fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to put up too much of a fight for it. I didn't mind the last Borderlands. It was kind of okay. And to have a spin-off of the Borderlands just kind of feels like it's going to be just even weaker. So, yeah. Scott, Pucks, anything to add to that? Are you going to try and rescue it from the bin, or...?
No, I think it can stay where it is, if we're perfectly honest.
No, fair enough.
To be fair, the first time I jumped to Borderlands, I was encouraged to by some friends at the time on the first game, and I've kind of played co-op, 4 of us, so that was quite fun then, back in 2011, 2012. But then when friends weren't around and I played it on my own, it was a bit meh, to be honest. But then I kind of played it, I played it enough with friends to jump on the second game, which I... Again, played it co-op, didn't mind it, but then most of the time when I'm playing on my own, it's a bit like, what's the point?
It is not a game to play on your own. I absolutely concur with that. That's for sure.
Especially nowadays, where a lot of the old friends I did play with don't really game at all anymore. So, and again, I wasn't that interested in the game anyway. So if I was to play it again, it would be on my own, which I didn't care about, and I don't mind the game. Sorry, I wasn't too fussed about the game anyway. So. Yeah, I'm happy to stay where it is.
Okay, well, I think that makes it round to me then. So what shall I go for? This is interesting. We realise we've got God of War Ragnarok on here, and it is still slated to launch this year, even though I think out of all of those, it's likely to slip. I'm going to go Tunic, I think, and I'm going to give that an honourable mention. I can't see it making top 10, I don't think. I've played the demo. I enjoyed the demo. I wanted more from the demo, if I'm honest. Now, obviously, if the game opens up and progresses as you play, that would be cool. I was left a little wanting with Tunic, but I am keen to see how the story, or how the gameplay and the story progresses. So, Scott, go on. Where would you put it?
It's interesting, Flat, because you've played the demo and I haven't. So you've obviously got a bit better first-hand experience, but Tunic's been one of my most anticipated games for some time now, since it was first shown. It's a bloody goddamn cute fox with a sword.
It is.
But I can see why you say that. I mean, obviously, if you played it, I appreciate, obviously, I made kind of my own decision when it comes out, which is pretty soon, I think, actually. I think it might be March
16th,
yeah. Oh, nice. I am really looking forward to it. But would it crack the top 10? I'm not too sure, because you do have some potentially excellent games that are going to be coming out this year, and I guess in some respects it's a little disappointing here. Maybe it didn't quite hit the heights that maybe you were expecting. But I'm still super looking forward to it. But you probably won't find me fighting too much to bump it up.
No, fair enough. I mean, if there's a compelling argument to take it out of honourable mention, then I'm all ears. So, Pucks, what do you make a Tunic bin as an honourable mention?
So, like Scott, I I've been following this game for the longest time, and I really am looking forward to it. But unlike Scott, I have played the demo, and I kind of do think it should sit in honorable mention. I'm looking at the other games on this list as well, and even if it was my list, it would probably be lower in my top out of the 10. But seeing as we're doing a group compiled list, and there's a lot of good competition here as well. And from what I've played, and again, bearing in mind, I know it's made by a solo guy and stuff, who is experienced on that kind of jazz, which is all good stuff. Props to the person. But from what I've played, I am looking forward to it. I just don't. But from what I've played, I don't think it's gonna be top 10 worthy. Oh, this is tough. I'm saying words, and then I kind of disagree with myself at the same time.
It is close, isn't it? I'll give you that. It is just about, it's probably 11 or 12, I guess. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, interesting. Go on, Luke. Did you get to play the demo? Any interest in Tunic?
Yeah, I did play the demo. To be honest,
you hated it.
I don't. No.
You either hated it or wanted it at number one of the two.
To me, just purely on the demo and what I've seen, there's no way that it would get near a top 10 of that list this year. No chance. It screams like a solid 7 game, like a nice experience. Mm-hmm. You'll pick it up. It will be a couple of hours long. You'll play it and you'll forget about it, but it will be enjoyable for the time. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because even if you compare it to some of the other indies on there, and the level is very high, I don't think that particularly measures up against some of them. So, and obviously we've not played all of them, right? So they could be disasters. But just in terms of concepts and what I have played of Tunic, it seems solid. So I'd put it on honourable mention. I think that'll be okay.
Yeah, and you're right, Scott. The graphics are quite cute and draw you in. I was just a little bit dismayed with the gameplay. I don't know. It just left me wanting a bit more, if I'm honest. But like I say, perhaps it opens up as you progress through the story. So that's pretty cool. And funny you should say that, Luke. It'll be quite interesting, perhaps at the end of this year, to see what our game of the year will be compared to our most anticipated games. It'd be quite cool to see that. So fantastic. Well, Scott, We're over to you next, my friend.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to maybe revisiting this list at the end of the year and see how many of our top 10 actually end up coming out in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
I'm curious. So I think this will be just a quick and easy one, maybe just to get out of the way. I think we'll stick one maybe not on our radar, unless obviously anybody's got any objections, and that's probably Grid Legends.
Oh, you know what? I knew you were going to say that because I'd have done exactly the same.
Yeah. So I guess the premise of this is, and actually they released a story trailer for this just last week, I believe. It's kind of like a multi-class racing game. It's not just, you can do like almost like F1 cars, you do like muscle cars, but they've tried to weave in a story into a racing game that so far to me just isn't hitting. But I can probably excuse that because it's a racing game. I couldn't care less about any sort of story. But the gameplay that they showed you in the most recent trailer, in my opinion, just didn't do anything for me. Sorry, it just didn't seem particularly exciting. Especially coming off Horizon 5, which you're going 200 and 250 mile an hour over a Mexican desert, up ramps and flying. It was exciting to play, and this really just didn't do anything in particular. And I actually like racing games as well, so it's not just like, it's just a racing game or anything like that. I do like them. Loved Horizon. Looking forward to Motorsport. But yeah, this one's just kind of like, it wasn't on my radar before, and then it fell off even further after the most recent trailer.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And perhaps, Scott, while we're here, perhaps we should give some. Actually, no. We'll carry on with Grid Legends for the time being. I completely concur. It wouldn't be on my radar. I have no interest for it whatsoever. Pucks, any different thoughts on that one?
No, to be fair, I've not really got much more to add to this one, I'm afraid. I completely agree with it. I know a lot of people love the Grid series, but I've never really played it and dabbled in it. And no, it's not on my radar at all. So
yeah, no, fair enough. And Luke, the same? Yeah.
Same, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, Scott, before we move on to Pucks, perhaps, there are a few games that are absent from the list that have been mentioned in the chat. So, chat, thank you very much for highlighting that. There is one that I'm a little bit gutted I didn't think of myself, actually, because I am two semi-excited for it. Scott, do you want to run through them? And perhaps we can place them now on some level? Well,
Yeah, definitely. So we've got 4 so far that I think would fit in this. I think one of them that's maybe not in our chat that we've got going is Silk Song's being mentioned, but that hasn't been said to have a 2022 release date from what I looked at. I guess it's probably safe to assume it will, but there wasn't a date on it. BMG's mentioned a couple, so he's mentioned Callisto Protocol, which I'm really surprised Luke didn't mention because I think Luke, you're looking forward to that one.
To be honest, that had I remembered, and that's a symptom of 2022, right? There's so many big games. Had I remembered, that would have been top 10 for me.
Oh wow!
So, so yeah, I obviously we can't really place it there now, but it would have been top 10.
I think we can. I think we can leave a blank space where the ghost of Callisto Protocol could exist.
So is that the one? Is that the one that's
if it's that's high?
Is Glenn Schofield working on that one? Is it that one? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes, I remember now. So it's a bit like Deadlight. That
Dead Space.
Dead Space. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How did we miss that?
Yeah. That's because that for me just isn't on my radar at all. What we've seen so far hasn't really done anything for me. I didn't play the Dead Space games though, which is to my fault.
I didn't.
Obviously. So apologies for missing that one off BMG. We've also got Total Warhammer 3. And probably the biggest one, I think, is Kirby. Well, we missed the new
I can't
Kirby
believe I missed this one as well.
There. So yeah, Pucks, that one's on you, mate. That one's on you.
Oh, I'll take it.
You're gonna have to go and thrash yourself with the cat and nine tails after the show. So Exo Mecha, I really like the look of this game. I think it looks so polished. Whether it's going to be any good or not.
It's not on my. I think it. I see. You say it looks polished. It looks like a student's UE4 demo project to me.
Yeah, that's
like
what I thought as well.
So. It looks so sterile and just unappealing. Like I think it's aesthetically okay, but it looks like it could be fun. But it's just not on my radar at all. I remember people going gaga over it at the time, and I just sat there like, what are you on about? Like, why are you so excited for it?
I really liked the move. I mean, like you said, I thought graphically it looked pretty good. Yeah, you're right. The levels and the maps were pretty empty, but it just, and I think it was actual gameplay. It just looked so smooth. It just looked like it. The animations look so good. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out.
Yeah. What was that game that Microsoft showed off? I think it was from a Chinese developer. I think the kind of like a small demo was released on Steam.
Oh,
Bright Memory.
Yeah, Bright Memory Infinite.
Yeah.
So I kind of they're obviously different games, but I kind of feel similar about the two of them, where they both kind of just feel like almost glorified tech demos.
Yeah.
In the form of a game in some ways. So I can see why people are excited. It's a first. You know what it is? It's a little like Titanfall-ish.
Yeah.
I think you've got the mechs, but you've also got the sort of normal soldiers, first-person shooter side of things going alongside it as well. It's got vehicles, so it would have just been not on my radar personally if I had remembered it. But apologies for missing that one off as well.
And Total Warhammer 3, was that the first-person shooter with guns type one that we saw way back in August? Because I'm sure that was a Warhammer game.
That's Dark Tide. Warhammer 3 is the RTS, which okay. I'm actually quite looking forward to. I played the first two. I'd probably stick it around honorable mention, but it's also coming to Game Pass for PC. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Warhammer Dark Tide, actually. I'm actually...
that's not on the list, is it?
I forgot that. Yeah, because I would have... I'm actually looking forward to that game, because I actually really enjoyed playing Vermintide when that came to Xbox. So Dark Tide is actually something I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, but I guess that just sort of goes to show, we got 36 games on here. Admittedly, one and maybe two will be in the bin, but the vast majority of them here, I think it's shown what a strong year 2022 is, and we've listed 4 or 5 games, maybe more now, that we've forgot already.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be a bump of bloody year, isn't it?
Quite significant games as well. So yeah, no, absolutely. Paxley, I think we're down to you. Where are we going next?
I know what I know the game. I was considering whether or not it should go in the bin, but I feel like it might be unfair to the game. I feel like people might like it. So for me, I'm going to put it under, not on my radar at least, and that is Sniper Elite 5.
Not where I thought we were going. Where is that? It's
left-hand side,
there it
far
is.
left.
Ooh.
So I played...
Where's it going, sorry?
Not on our radar, for me at least, until we discuss it a bit further, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, these are the kind of games where I don't mind stealth games for the most part. I played number 4, and like I watched it on YouTube and stuff, and thought I'd really like it, and then got to actually playing it, and I really didn't like it at all. At least for the way I play stealth games, it was a bit too slow paced for me, because the whole idea is that you can't get caught at all, and if you do, everyone starts shooting at you to the point, the game is made that if you don't stealth it successfully, you're guaranteed to die. Whereas in games like Hitman, if you do get caught and things start going a bit haywire, you kind of have if you play it kind of correctly in the moment, you can kind of get away and hide yourself and carry on. Whereas this one is very much one and done, how I felt at least. And yeah, the slow-mo thing and watching the bullet go through the skull and it all kind of graphically explodes everywhere is quite fun to watch for the first 2 times. But when you've seen it 50 times, it's a bit old as a mechanic, I think. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there that do like it, so respect to those at least. So for now, I'm not putting it in the bin, but no, it's definitely not on my radar, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that slow-mo thing's quite funny, isn't it? Because the first time it's kind of morbidly kind of intriguing and interesting. And then after the 17th time, you just feel dirty, don't you? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Unless the preceding ragdoll is hilarious. It's not really much else to it. But...
yeah, you can actually shoot them in the testicles, I believe, as well, and you get a slow-mo of that. Yeah, I believe you can. Luke, Sniper Elite 5, I'm quite surprised it's actually made it to a 5th game, if I'm honest, because, they're not that well beloved, are they, surely?
Yeah, I think they do pretty well. Enough to keep going. I'd put not on radar. I wouldn't put it in the bin. I think it's not something that interests me really.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The only thing maybe to mention is I think this past week it was announced for Game Pass. So if you're interested in that type of thing, you can always try it out. I think Sniper Elite 4 was put in after launch. But those games do absolutely nothing for me. Not bin worthy, but it's just.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's still World War II era as well, is it?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they all have been, haven't they? Right. Okay, yeah, well, not a bad chat then, Pucks. It stays where you put it. Right, well, Luke, there's still a few on there, isn't there, that we could can sift out. What we got next?
I'm gonna put another one in the bin. I'm saving one for.
Next time we do this, it's just going to be called Luke rather than 12 minutes. It's just like Luke's one.
I'm pretty ruthless. I'm going to save one for Scott because I know you take joy putting it in the bin, and I agree. But I'll save that for you. But the other one I'm going to put in the bin is Babylon's Fall, which is just a really bizarre kind of. So it's made by Platinum, and I think it's PS and PC exclusive. I think,
that's
at least for a time. And I remember, so I was quite excited about it initially because the first trailer made it seem like a single-player kind of high fantasy, Platinum action hack and slash type game, which is, I'm all for that. It looked a bit rough, but it was early. And then it went dark for a long time. And then they re-revealed it, and they changed the art style, so it looks hideous. It looks really bad. Technically, it doesn't look like it runs particularly well. And they made it kind of it's kind of 4-player co-op. I guess you could probably still play it on your own, but it seems to be really leaning into the multiplayer aspect, which, as everyone knows, isn't something that's a positive for me necessarily. So it just doesn't look good. It just looks really bad, and it's Platinum are so inconsistent with what they do, because they have other stuff that looks really or that has looked really good in the past, but it just looks kind of garbage, and I don't. Not for me.
No, fair dues. Yeah, it's coming out on PS4, PS5, and Windows. I think it was originally slated for August last year, but obviously hasn't come out.
I think it's March now.
Yeah, right. Okay, Square Enix published, but any thoughts, Scott?
Yeah, I'm sort of in complete agreement with Luke. I think for I know Luke watches some of Easy Allies content, but one of the most damning things I heard was Ben Moore from Easy Allies previewed it, and I think he essentially just called it trash. And for anyone who knows Ben from Easy Allies will know he likes that type of game, I think. I think he was initially quite looking forward to, but I think, as I mentioned, they went quiet and they've changed it quite a lot, and what they've ended up with really doesn't look exciting at all. So yeah, Square not looking so hot right now.
No,
I don't think so.
No, fair enough. Pucks, anything to add?
No, not really. I completely agree with where it is.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, I think I'm next, and I'm going to go for a game that's not personally on my radar, and I will be interested to see if there is any pushback on that. But that is Bayonetta 3. It's kind of okay. Yeah. Any pushback on that?
I'd push back on I wouldn't put it top 10. Again, this is the flip side of Platinum, because Bayonetta 1 and 2 are very good. This one looks like those. They've done, again, some weird stuff, but it doesn't look so fundamentally different that, it doesn't make me less excited for it. It wouldn't hit top 10, but out of that list, but I'd put it at honorable mention.
Okay.
But then again, it varies depending on how much have you played the Bayonetta before, and it's on Switch only, so that kind of narrows it a little bit. So yeah,
that's probably one of the reasons it's not necessarily on my radar. Puxley, anything to add? Have you played the previous Bayonettas?
Well, I played like a demo of the first game back in the 360 days, and I didn't mind it, but I wasn't grabbed enough to ever pay for it. I'm kind of like looking away, only that because I know it's got quite a cult following and people really like the game. Whether or not I'd put it in honorable mention, but I think for me, I would personally also put it not on my radar. But that's mainly because I'm just not a massive fan of the series in general. But I'm gonna have to let the public decide, I think.
Oh, Scott. Scott. If you want to, that would be 2v2, I guess. But yeah, where would you place it, Scott?
Yeah, I would be happy with it in either place. I mean, I'm still not too sure if it's going to come out this year. To be perfectly honest, they went quiet on it for so long. They did come out with like a new trailer at some point late last year, which kind of almost like revived. Well, reminded people that the game still exists because they went quiet on it for so long. So that trailer did look good. So personally speaking, it will probably be in my honorable mentions, but you're not going to get too many arguments from me where it's in at the minute.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, doke. Well, that brings us neatly round to you, Scott. I think you're on the next one. Just do a quick chat. A shout to the chat. Thank you very much for being here and keeping the chat flowing and correcting us with obviously games that we've missed and stuff, and letting us know what you're looking forward to playing. So we've got Maseko, BMG, Stubbs Gaming. I don't simply be able to scroll up always. We had oh my goodness, many Pixel Slapper back from the dead. Chaps, thank you very much for being here. If I've missed anyone, I do apologise. I'm just quickly scrolling up and down. Tuku, okay, Scott, what's next on the menu?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep my bin one for maybe another round. I'm gonna try and get some more not on the radar for now. So the next one I'm gonna go for is Triangle Strategy, which I'm gonna put not on our radar for now, obviously, unless anybody disagrees. I was originally, when it was first announced, it looked quite intriguing, especially coming off the back of Octopath Traveler. I think it's got sort of similar art style, but kind of it's just sort of fell off, and it's not one that I'm particularly looking forward to now, and I don't think it's one I'm likely to be overly excited for this particular year. Maybe later, but not right now.
Yeah, no, fair point.
It's
a Switch only game as well, I guess. So certainly not on my radar at all. So you won't get any pushback from me. But Pucks, is that up your street?
I'm the same here. Absolutely loved Octopath Traveler, but Triangle Strike. They kind of went down the like Fire Emblem type, like turn-based mechanic. It's hard to describe if you've not really seen that type of gameplay before, but it's not just turn-based. You kind of have to obviously move certain units into certain positions, and certain units can only go in some directions and fight from afar and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I've played those types of games in the past, and yeah, they've never done it for me. So as much as I love that they're keeping the same art style as Octopath,
the art style's gorgeous. I love the art style.
I love the pixel art / 3D world stuff. It's done so well, especially how they've done it. But yeah, the type of game that it is and the gameplay is just not for me, I'm afraid.
Okay, fair enough. And Luke, yeah,
completely agree.
Yeah, no, fair dues. Okie doke. Well, that brings us to you, Pucks. What's next?
I feel like already it's getting a bit difficult because I know what I want to keep for my top 10 later on. I think for me, I'm going to put under honorable mention, and that's going to be Gran Turismo 7.
Oh. Okay.
You sound disappointed already.
No, it's the reason I say that, I guess, is a huge AAA game on PlayStation 5, obviously, and I thought that those sort of games would possibly be making the top 10, but not necessarily, it seems.
For me at least, it's not in my top 10. I mean, I think as I said before, racing. I mean, I do enjoy a good racing game, but they're not. It's not my favorite genre, but. Back in the day, I definitely loved, original Gran Turismo 1 and 2 and all that kind of stuff back on the PlayStation and PS2. Yeah. I fell off it in, I can't even say recent years. A long time ago, I kind of fell off of it. I know it kind of the series kind of went in a weird direction, I think, after 3, from what I remember correctly. And I think the fans themselves also were a bit up and down with where it was going. And graphically, it looks phenomenal. I have to give it that. But I think the racing scene has definitely changed a lot in recent years, especially given games like Forza Horizon that have doing the whole open world aspect of things quite well as well. I mean, if you love track-based races, then I'm sure you probably think I'm wrong here, but I don't know. I think for me, it just doesn't really do it for me anymore. But I know it's going to be a decent enough game that I think it has to sit in honorable mention.
No, fair enough. I mean, obviously, as racing track simulators go, there's kind of two to choose from. Obviously, Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo. I mean, I've been around since the early days. I've been around since the first one. Yeah, interesting. Luke, where would you put Gran Turismo 7? Are you willing to part with £70 to play this game on your PS5?
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not a big track racer fan. Mm-hmm. I did buy Sport, but only a number of years after it released. And I enjoyed some bits of it, but really, I only bought Sport to kind of appreciate the visuals. Like that was
it was a bit of a tech demo kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So and it looks like they're doing all the right things for GT7, so that's cool. But it would be the same if Forza Motorsport was on here. It'd go honorable mention because it's just track races don't really interest me at all. Races in general, actually, except for casual races or something like Horizon. So yeah, I agree with Pucks on that one.
Yeah, no, fair dues. And Scott, I mean, you haven't got a PS5, so you wouldn't be able to play it without one. So I'm guessing it's a nod to the quality of the game and stuff, but not necessarily in your top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it is on PS4 as well. I think it is. I think it is cross-gen.
It is.
Yeah. So, and this one's March 4th, I think. So pretty soon. I'm happy with where it is. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of hindered ever so slightly here, not having a PS5 and my PS4 broke. So, but I kind of agree with what the guys have said.
Yeah, no, fair dues. The one thing I love about the Gran Turismo games, and that goes, like I say, all the way back to I love the music. There's just those little clips that when you're sort of previewing the car, I just love that Japanese style kind of music that they play over those. It's fantastic. Right, where are we? Back round to me. I think we are, aren't we? Okay,
no, it's Luke.
Oh, is it? Sorry, Luke. Sorry. Yes, you did do that, didn't you? Yeah, go on then, Luke. Where are we next?
Okay. Oh, this
a third bin.
Yeah, I'm gonna mix it up, Pucks. I'm gonna, I'm gonna spare someone from the bin. I'm gonna go honorable mention, and I don't know how controversial this will be, but I'm gonna put Stalker 2 in there.
Oh.
So this is maybe it's just my annoyance at this kind of the reaction to this a bit, which is that I played Stalker. It's actually quite cool, a lot of people seem to get really hype on this because Xbox heavily promoted it, and there's no bad thing about that. But it's kind of, it seems like it's getting a lot of hype on that basis rather than on particular quality potentially of it. It looks visually great, but GCS. What is it? It's GSC Game World, who are the developers. They have a big track record of kind of bullshotting a lot of the stuff that they do.
Right.
So I don't buy the visuals of the trailers yet, and I was always very skeptical that it was gonna. I mean, I know it recently got delayed, didn't it? Till I think December. Is it December this year?
Yeah, it was a massive delay.
Massive
wasn't it?
delay.
December 8th.
Apparently 8th of December,
Yeah, which is no surprise because the minute was it April it was supposed to come out, or March, or something
April.
like that.
That's right.
Yeah, when they announced that, I was like, there is no way that's gonna get near that, because Stalker took an inordinate amount of time to make. This looks more ambitious. Clearly, visually, it's more ambitious. But I'm putting it honorable mention because it could be good, right? Like it could be really good, and it could live up to those trailers. And if it does, I think it could be a really interesting, and very much like Metro. I mean, there's a whole GSC Game World and 4A Games link anyway. So, I'll put it there, but it wouldn't. I'm skeptical of it, so I'm gonna just put it in honorable mention.
Yeah, you know what? I would completely agree. I never played the first one on PC or anything, and I hold my hand up. I kind of got swept up in the hype and the visuals of the game as well. And I think you're right. I think it could be really crap. It could be really good. We just don't know. And I know you could argue that of most of these games, but let's face it, Gran Turismo 7 is going to be a great game. You kind of know that. That's safe money. Stalker 2, that's more of a gamble, I think, whether that's definitely going to be good or not. So, Scott?
Yeah, I think Luke nailed it. To be honest, I am excited for this game because I think at least what they've shown looks stunning. If it released in April, I think it would have been like the second UE5 game as well, behind like Fortnite. I think what they've shown is great, but because of what Luke mentioned and the history and a few other things, if this wasn't coming to Game Pass, it would definitely be one where I'd be like, let's wait and see until maybe a few people have played it and make sure that they haven't been bullshitting us. Also, the NFT stuff really soured my opinion a little bit. I know they turned around and said that they're going to remove it, but still, it kind of was like, in the delay to December, like honestly, I put it on this list because it's got a date in 2022, but it wouldn't surprise me to see it get delayed even further, because like December 8th, really they couldn't have delayed it any further into 2022 if they tried. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good spot for it.
Is that's not going to make it into this year's Game Awards either? I don't think. Is it on December the 8th?
No, it's just on this.
Yeah.
Not that it would possibly be nominated for much at all, if anything. But that's interesting. Pux, anything to add to Stalker 2?
Not that's already been said, really. If anything, the only thing I want to add is that I'm actually glad that Luke said what he did, because as you said, so many people seem to be creaming their pants over this game. Yet I've always looked at it just thinking,
that's an official term, by the way.
Yeah, put it in the box. Everyone was creaming their pants over this game.
That should be a category. Pants cream.
Oh yeah, pant cream. Okay.
But it definitely seems like one of those games that so many people seem to get really excited about. But I've always looked at it thinking, visually it looks good, but whatever. Like the whole kind of apocalypse type game, it's like, well, whatever. I don't really care.
It's the Game Pass effect. If something comes in, I will tell you this for fact, right? And Scott will disagree. If Strangers of Paradise hit Game Pass tomorrow, people will be starting to rave before they played it. That's the problem. Because if it's free, not quote unquote free, you're kind of more willing to overlook flaws and kind of get excited for it. So,
but it's a value proposition, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to spend 60 to 70 quid on a game, then I guess you're going to scrutinize it a bit more. But if something's got such a low barrier of entry, then you're going to go more in with an open mind, because you're not going to have to like look at the detail and make that decision. Do I want to part with my money for the game? I think this, as well as the Game Pass thing, and the two obviously linked, but this obviously has been heavily pushed by Xbox. It's featured quite prominently in a lot of their shows, particularly in 2020. I think they showed it off quite a bit. If you remember, they had that awful showing during one of their shows where they just showed like a model of like teeth. Gun models and things like that, which obviously looked very pretty, but it was such a weird trailer. But it kind of showed the presence that this game is having in Xbox's marketing. But Strangers to Paradise would not get the praise, even if it was in Game Pass. I don't think. Yeah, to be fair, there would be a small section of the internet that would be, very happy with that.
Okay, well, I won't touch that one, Scott. I will leave that for you. So I'm going to go. There's one of two that I could choose. I'm going to go Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and I'm going to put it not on our radar. I hold my hands up. I absolutely love the Lego Star Wars, or did. The whole series, and they've done the Star Wars thing to absolute death. To be honest, I really enjoy them. For me, they're a little bit like FIFA. It's just more of the same year on year kind of thing. And if you really enjoy it, then that's fine. I've been through the whole Indiana Jones. I've done all of the Hogwarts ones or Harry Potter ones, Pirates of the Caribbean. I've pretty much done them all. And I do enjoy them. They're just a game that you can just sit out and not even have to think about, and you just collect up all the Lego bits, and I kind of enjoy them. But I'm personally at the point now where it's just not on my radar. I'm just kind of not interested in them. I'm burnt out on them, really. Puxley, what's your take? Because I know you have played a couple.
I have, but strangely enough, though, I mean, Star Wars is one of those cult phenomenons which I should love, given what it's all about, but I just cannot get into it. I've just never really been attracted to it. Friends have tried to get me into Star Wars in general, and I've just never really managed to. It's never managed to bite me at all. And yes, it's a nice little charming Lego game, and I think I had one of my first games on the 360 because it came with it was one of the, I think it's Lego Star Wars 2 or whatever it was, which I enjoyed enough. But yeah, it's, as you say, it's more Lego Star Wars, and I'm not much of a fan of those games in general, really. I mean, they're a bit too low key for me. I mean, more recently, I like something with a bit more of a challenge. If that makes sense.
There is very little challenge. Quite a lot of content. They're normally quite long and lots of levels and stuff. But to be fair, there is some history. I used to play those with my daughters and stuff. So it's a great sort of father-child kind of game that you can both pick up and enjoy on the same kind of level. See, I did the DC villains ones. I've done them all, and I've had lots of fun playing them. But there becomes a point where, I've had enough. Luke, any arguments to
that? No. So huge Star Wars fan, like really big, but not so much a Lego game fan. Even though I do appreciate how well put together they are. And I think I probably will pick this one up, but it's not to the extent where I'm like, "Ooh, I can't wait for it." It's just more like, I'll get right onto it.
No, fair dues. And Scott,
I'm not a particularly big Star Wars fan and not a Lego game fan, so in the right place for me. But I know a lot of people are excited for it. I know a lot of people love those Lego games as well, which is worth mentioning. So, and I think it's coming out April 5th. So one that's relatively early in the year. So
I'm actually surprised at how soon some of these games are actually coming out, because we obviously have a little bit of a drought after Christmas normally, where publishers are busy trying to get their games out in ready for the holiday period and stuff, and it tends to dry up a little bit. But obviously, the beginning of this year is going to be quite interesting, and quite a lot of stuff coming out. And obviously, we've got a big heavy hitter coming out on PlayStation as well very soon. But okay, well, staying with you, Scott. What we got next?
Yeah, so we're going to put Strangers Paradise right in the thing,
right?
Because this game, honestly, it baffles me how they can put these trailers out and think that'll sell it. That's going to get people excited for this game because every trailer they put out, it just looks worse and worse. And I'm not even strictly speaking about the gameplay side of things, because I've read a few people's comments who are actually sort of into what they've shown from a gameplay perspective, but just everything else just looks like complete shit. And I think it's almost telling that it's a Final Fantasy game that PlayStation haven't decided they wanted exclusively on their platform. So yeah, it's Strangers Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. It's sort of a prequel to Final Fantasy One, I believe. It's not a typical Final Fantasy game. It's more of a sort of an action RPG, kind of almost in, I think, a Devil May Cry type context. Let me know, guys, if you think there's a better way of describing it. But if you watch those trailers, genuinely, it has some of the worst, most horrendous writing that I think I've ever seen in a video game. I think one of the trailers, bearing in mind this is a prequel to Final Fantasy one of the trailers, I can't believe I'm going to say this. The character in the game said whatever his line was, walked off scene while playing Papa Roach off his mobile phone. Now, I saw that trailer and I was like, there is no fucking chance that somebody hasn't just played Papa Roach over whatever the intended clip was there. I mean, it's bizarre enough that he's holding a bloody mobile phone in the first place. But then he genuinely played Papa Roach. And then the most recent trailer, it was 6 minutes long or something. And the second half of it, they played bloody, who was it?
My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, by Frank Sinatra. And again, the guy's getting married in the scene, and he's got a bloody mobile phone in his hand during the fucking wedding again. Honestly, this game. And
they asked the creator as well. They said, "Is this, an isekai? Where someone's like Forspoken, where someone's pulled into, a land that they don't belong in." Right, because he's got a phone, and even though like Final Fantasy has always been this weird mix on some of the games where they're kind of fantasy based but heavy technology, so that's not weird in a sense, but it looks so out of place. And the creator was like, "Nope, no, it's not. It just has a phone." It's so bizarre. It's so strange.
Yeah, the thing is, it has got me almost like, I am morbidly curious to know what happens, because it's getting in that realm with what they're showing is that bad that I'm actually interested. If you haven't seen it, watch the initial reveal trailer.
Watch the last one as well.
Yeah, watch them all because they're just truly bizarre. But the first one was just so unbelievably bad because it's got such a weird, serious tone. And they say a particular word so many times it's really off-putting in the one trailer. It'll be always if you watch it. And yeah, so this game for me genuinely looks terrible. And honestly, it speaks to me. It's like, what on earth are Square Enix doing? Like, if they didn't have Final Fantasy 16, because I know some people may be excited for it. I think Forspoken also looks dreadful. I don't think that'll end up in the bin, but I really don't think that game looks good. And off the back of I guess they had some success with Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, but obviously coming off Avengers, coming off what was that bloody game with the guy in the hat? We spoke about it quite a lot on the show. What was it called? The cartoony game by the same creator,
Balan Wonderworld.
Balan's Wonderworld. Yeah, and then they had like The Quiet Man not too long ago. I thought Final Fantasy 15 was also a dreadful Final Fantasy game. It really, like, I don't really know what Square are up to, personally speaking, and someone who's loved a lot of Square Enix game, particularly Final Fantasy all the way up to, I guess, 11. And this is just the top of that shit cake, I think. So yeah, staying in the bin. Hopefully, hopefully no one disagrees.
Pucks, I'm guessing you're not going to try and rescue it from the bin, because if you are, you've got quite a fight on your hands, I think.
Oh no, it can stay exactly where it is. Yeah,
right. Fair dues. And Luke, I think you've made your point known about that. So
it's such a straight. I actually played the demo for it, and it's not that bad. I mean, it's a Souls game basically. It plays very much like Neo does.
Apologies. I thought it was a little bit more Devil May Cry than Souls. Apologies.
I think some of the trailers make it look like that, but when you actually play it, it's that's what it's like. And I remember way before it was announced, there was a guy on Reset Era, just as a tangent, who was teasing the game. Like, he clearly knew that this existed. And everybody, including myself, were like, "Oh my god, like a Final Fantasy Souls-like game. That sounds incredible." And I remember he specifically said, he was like, "Look, don't expect like a big like budget kind of From game." He was like, "It's being done by a different studio." He wouldn't say who. We know it's Team Ninja now. And everybody just lost it. Like, they were just so hyped for it. And then when it was revealed, it's the biggest 180 I've ever seen like people do en masse about a game, where you're like, oh my god, like what the hell is this? Like, it's just your worst nightmares of that genre and that IP together. It just doesn't work. I really do want to play it all the way through, though. Like, I really want to do that because I just think it'll just be much like some bad films can be really fun to watch. I think that might be a bad game that's really fun to play.
Yeah, it's so bad it's good.
Sense at all. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, I think that one is very, very firmly in the bin, so that's absolutely fine. Puxley, where are we going next?
Yeah, this is another one. I wasn't sure whether it should be bin territory or not on my radar, but I think it's got enough of a good following that it probably won't deserve the bin, I guess. So not on my radar is Saints Row.
Oh.
Maybe it's unfair for me to say, but I've always kind of seen it as a poor man's GTA, and I've never really been able to get into it. I appreciate it's meant to be more silly and a bit, just a bit out there like that. But I don't know. It's just something about the way it played and how it felt to play, like the controls and stuff. I don't know. I just never got to grips with it. It never really interested me. I appreciate it's trying to be silly, but again, it's one of those, the kind of game where it's trying to be silly, yet at the same time it's trying to be serious. It's almost like trying to do two things at once. Was always my perception of it, at least from when I played like 1 and 2 and 3. Because I have tried them all.
No, that's interesting. I thought that was going to end up in the honourable mention list, but perhaps not. Scott, are you willing to rescue it from not on the radar?
No, I wouldn't have rescued it if Pugs had put it in the bin either, though, to be perfectly honest. So, but I don't feel quite as strong about that. So happy where it is. The game doesn't really interest us, but I've never been particularly into that genre. And I'm not even into GTA, which is kind of obviously what it's loosely based on anyway. So
fair dues. Luke, are you going to be the last person that could possibly save this from not on the radar? Is it on your radar?
It's honourable mention for me.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. Yeah, but I quite like Saints Row, actually. Not the last one kind of took it a bit too far in the ridiculousness, and it's clear they had to reboot whatever they were doing next, because there's no way you can go from Saints Row 4 basically. So yeah, I mean, I think it looks very much like Saints Row 2, which is when they kind of had the blend of, okay, it's a GTA style game, but a bit silly, but also a bit more in depth than those games are. There's a lot more to do typically. So I put it honorable mention, but I don't that's only because I've played the others and I'm a bit of a fan of the series. So I don't mind it being not on our radar. I think that's, compared to a lot of the other stuff, I think that's fair.
I think I'm the same. For me, it's kind of mildly on my radar. I liked what I saw in the last trailer that we saw, but I'd be happy for it to stay. I just assumed it was going to be an honourable mention. I don't know why, but no, it stays not on our radar. Fair dues. Okay, Pucks, thank you. Luke, where are we going next?
Let me just have a quick scan. I'll do a not on radar again, and I'll go for Oxenfree 2. Yeah, for that one. I did play some.
I put that one on for you, Luke. If I'm being honest,
really?
I thought not because I knew you, or at least I thought I knew you liked the game, but it just kind of seemed again that would be kind of up your street. And for some reason, I was thinking that we might have been on Indie's show together when this was announced, possibly. I can't remember if it was you that was on there. And I thought you were looking forward to this one. So when I saw it ahead of the show, I thought, I think Luke's looking forward to that. So
yeah, no, I played Oxenfree and I liked it, but it's kind of, and I'm glad they're making a sequel, but it's kind of one of those games where when I think about it and kind of think about anticipate, like all the stuff you can anticipate for a year and all the games that are coming out, it never comes up. Like I hear about it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll probably play that because I quite like the first one. But it's also kind of a very slow game, like at least the first one was, and it's there's not a lot of quote unquote gameplay, which isn't a bad thing, but it's a hard one to get excited about. And I don't feel like it should go alongside some of the honorable mention stuff, which is actually, like Gotham Knights, I'm quite excited about, and Stalker 2, if it's not all bullshit, stuff like that. So I just don't, it just never pops up on my radar, which is why I put it there.
Yeah, no, fair dues. Pucks, did you play the first one? Any?
No, I didn't. And I think when I saw the announcement for Oxenfree 2, I mean, a lot of people that played the first one absolutely loved it, but I kind of looked at it like kind of, yeah, what, and?
Yeah.
So, no, it can stay there as far as I'm concerned.
It's in the right place for me. I had a dabble on the first one, wasn't really for me, to be honest. So, no, that's fair enough. Is that back to me? Okay, I'm going to go Hogwarts Legacy in honourable mention, only because I'm personally excited for it, because I like the Harry Potter universe anyway, and I quite like kind of the thought of going back there and seeing what it's all about. But I'll be intrigued to know where everyone else puts it, and we'll go in order. Scott, Hogwarts Legacy, where does that go on your list?
Personally, it's not really on my radar, Flap. I've seen the Harry Potter movies mainly because my missus is a massive Harry Potter fan.
Right.
And I enjoyed the movies for what they were, but I'm not too big in it. I've never played a Harry Potter game. Not that I think there are particularly many of them. But yeah, so it's not really on my radar to be honest. I'll probably pick it up because I think the missus will be interested in it. But personally speaking, it wouldn't. Yeah, not on my radar for me. But I'm not gonna. I'm happy for it to be there.
Okay, no, it's still slated for this year. Avalanche Studios coming to all platforms. Pucks.
No, I agree with this. Similar
okay.
to you, I watched all the films. I'm not like a massive hardcore fan that knows all the lore and stuff, but I definitely I've seen all the films and I enjoy the world enough. And I played some of the games. I thought it was well enjoyable. And yeah, like you say, I think an open worldy Harry Potter game, and it's been a long time since I've seen or watched anything Harry Potter. So yeah, it'd be quite cool to eventually go back once it's released. I agree where it is.
Luke, I have no idea what you're going to say next. I really could not pitch where I think what you think of this game. Go on.
I would agree. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'd probably put it on honorable mention. I have a very love-hate relationship with Harry Potter.
Oh, go on.
So yeah, I mean, I read all the books when they came out. I was a big fan. When the films came out, I started to do that thing where I became a bit of an elitist prick, and I was kind of gatekeeping it. Where you're like, oh yeah, well I've read the books, and
how very honest of you.
Yeah. And then so I hated it for a while, and then I watched the films and I kind of enjoy them, but like then as anyone in the UK will know, the BBC has a pretty big love, and ITV and all of these kind of stations have a massive love for the films, and you see them all the time, like in some capacity, and it's become so saturated. And then J.K. Rowling's a prick now, so like
I think that's being polite, Luke.
Exactly.
Yeah,
with
C.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and then I saw the game and I saw the trailer, and it looked a bit rough, but I was like, oh, actually, that could be really good, and it could be really enjoyable, and I like the idea behind it, and I thought visually it looked quite nice in some places as well. So, it's a difficult one. So I am kind of quite excited for it, but also not, and so it kind of falls honourable mention for me.
Yeah, no, fair dues, fair dues. Okie doke. Scott.
Well, it's starting to get a little bit tricky now.
It's getting
We've
there,
still
isn't
got
it? It's
7
getting
or
there.
8. I think we need to get off before we go into our top 10 here. So, I'll go for an honorable mention because I am looking forward to this game. Since what was announced, particularly coming off the back of Gears Tactics, which is Marvel's Midnight Suns, which
Okay.
is the XCOM. I believe it's the XCOM type game.
Yeah.
So obviously in the
Tactical
Marvel
RPG.
universe. Yeah, I believe this one you actually create your own character. I don't think you play alongside Marvel characters. I think they've shown off like Blade and Iron Man and Wolverine and things like that. But I believe you create your own character in it, which I think has the potential to be quite interesting. And yeah, like I say, I really enjoyed Gears Tactics, which was my first sort of step into that genre. Obviously, I like Marvel characters, so it's not quite top 10, I think, on this list, but it's certainly one that I'm looking forward to.
Okay, your 2K games. It's a Marvel game that's coming to all platforms, including the Switch. Luke, would you concur?
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it. Yeah, so you're I think your character's called the Hunter, and it's basically a blank slate, and you do control other characters in an XCOM style, so you can control, Doctor Strange and Blade and all the other various characters. But it reminds me, so I kind of gone up and down on it because I really wanted like an XCOM style game, and it's not really it's got some elements of that, but it's kind of its own thing where you also have. I think there's like it's got some card mechanics in it as well, like some deck building, like random ability cards or something like that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I imagine, Scott, that probably intrigues you more than it does me.
Yeah, that's one of the things that interests me about the game. Actually, I think it adds a twist to that genre that I don't think we've seen. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think from what I've seen so far, it looks quite nice. But what I really like about it is I think they've really looked at Fire Emblem Free Houses. It looks really inspired by that, which is kind of blank slate character interacting with all these kind of other more kind of brash, interesting characters. And you go into combat, and then there's a kind of centralized hub called the Abbey, I think, in the game. And you do a lot of the narrative stuff in there, and then you go out into the field and you do missions and blah blah blah. So and Fire Emblem, I love Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think it's a fantastic game, and it's the same format. So that combined with being a huge Marvel fan, Midnight Suns kind of comic run is really cool. So, and this is kind of an original twist on that. So yeah, honorable mention. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, not in your top 10 then.
No.
Not quite.
Close,
yeah,
but not top 10.
11 or 12. Okay, no, fair enough. Puxley, anything to add?
No,
you're not going to try and drag it into the bin.
No. I mean, XCOM style games are not my jam at all, unfortunately. So, I mean, for me, it would go under not on our radar, but I'm happy where it is.
Yeah, no, fair dues. Okie doke. Well, seeing as you're on the mic, we're with you next, Pux. Where are we going?
Oh, it's me. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's just getting difficult.
Yeah, we've got 9 to go, by the way, before we get to top 10.
Well, we might need to speed things up.
We might have to get a bit quicker.
Okay, I'll make this a honorable mention, and that's going to be Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And the one reason I put it in there is because knowing it's made by Rocksteady, who did all the Arkham, 3 out of 4 Arkham games, which I mostly thought were all fantastic Rocksteady ones. I have big expectations for this. I'm not necessarily a massive fan of the Suicide Squad as a set of characters or as a world or whatever. But again, it's in the DC universe, which I enjoy anyway, and I'm hoping for some Arkham style gameplay, and I believe that's kind of what we all anticipate. If correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's not necessarily my top 10, so that's why I think it deserves this slot.
No, fair dues. Any pushback on that, gents?
I mean, if I was speaking personally, it's probably in my top 10, especially after the most recent trailer that they showed. I'm a big fan. It's a 4-player co-op game. I enjoy those types of games. I thought the most impressive thing, at least that I got from the trailer, was The characters seem like they felt and played very different, which I think is something that was really lacking in, say, something like the Avengers game. Other than Hulk, I think a lot of the other characters just felt very samey to play in my limited experience with the game, admittedly, but it didn't hook me to play any longer than I did. But this did seem that they had very distinct characters that seemed that they played very different. So it would be sort of in my lower top 10, speaking personally, but I'm not going to argue too much with being in there.
No, fair dues. Luke, I believe you're next. Where are we going?
Oh, where are we going? Oh, it is quite hard now. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go Forspoken as, for me, an honourable mention.
Okay, that's interesting. I think Scott might have something to say about that, but yeah, go on, tell us about Forspoken.
I think so. It's honourable. I think. The last gameplay footage they had looked kind of disappointing, but the trailers up until that point, ignoring the story and dialogue, which have been pretty bad.
Yeah,
like I think,
which is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is quite difficult to do. But getting rid of that, I think the world and the gameplay and the traversal looks really cool. Like really, really cool. And I think visually it looks very good. Again, apart from that last gameplay demo, because it was kind of all over the place. But and music also seems quite cool. And it has a great pedigree of writers behind it, which is why I'm so surprised the dialogue sounds so bad. Because... yes, it's got, I think, Gary Whitta. I think there's others that have worked on it as well. So I am excited for it, but I'm very cautious about it, because it's, again, going to be one of those games where either it's good, surprisingly good, or it's going to be bomb, basically, and not be that good. But it's so hard to tell, because I need to see an hour of it, and then I'll probably know. But yeah, I think it's probably hard to ignore some of the story stuff, which I think is Scott is what you're.
Yeah, go on, Scott. Let us know.
Yeah,
and the dialogue.
The dialogue it's so jarring, because I think part of the problem is it at least from what I remember, it was such a prominent part of the trailers. Like the dialogue that they kind of overlaid the trailers. If it was just kind of bits and pieces here and there, it probably wouldn't have been so jarring. But they kind of dominated the trailers, in my opinion. Which was really, really off-putting. And dialogue, it's weird, because I played or tried to play Tales of Arise recently, and I put it down, and I have no intention of picking it up. And the main reason is because the dialogue in that game is horrendous. And I think on top of that, I understand what Luke's saying, so I'm not going to argue with his position in here. But the last trailer, particularly like the environment's just really bland, and I think the magic effects in it in particular look pretty cool. Actually, what type of game is it again? Luke, begins with an I. I never remember that term.
Oh, Naked Eye, yeah.
That one, those types of games don't really do much for me, generally.
Very played out
anyway. So, I mean, obviously, I hope it turns out. I don't want a game ever to be bad, but it's in a similar territory to me. It's with as Strange as Paradise, although not the same level. Where kind of like every time they show it, I become less interested in it. But it's not quite got that. Side of the fence where it's so bad that I'm actually interested. Just kind of like, everything just looks bland and not interesting. So,
no, fair dues. Okay, are we round to me? I believe we are. Okay. I'm going to go Stray and honourable mention. I'm kind of intrigued by the game. I was kind of considering top 10, but I'm just more intrigued. I don't really know what it's going to be about, the whole cat thing, and with robots and stuff. It does intrigue me, but happy to have the conversation. Luke, what do you make of Stray?
Luke instantly unmuted his mic when you said that there. I think this might be the first controversial pick
Go on.
Of the night. Go on.
Yeah, I've got my list in front of me for my top 10 actually,
right.
Where I'd kind of pull them, and that's actually 8th.
I was going to say it'd have to be this end of 10. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not number one. I think there's too many, or like top five. I think there's maybe too many unknowns with it, but I just think it looks really original and super polished. Visually very impressive for an indie game. A big cat lover, I guess that dictates as well where you might place it. I think the gameplay looks super cool. The world, kind of world building that's going on there. I think we need to see more of it for sure because we haven't seen lots. But I'd put it in top 10, but I don't disagree with it being an honourable mention necessarily. There's another game that if an honourable mention went in there, I'd be there's multiple that will go in there, but I'd sacrifice it for something else.
No, fair dues. Puxley, intrigued by this one?
No, I mean the idea is very interesting and it's very new, and as Luke was saying, like it's quite original as well. We've not really seen anything quite like it. It's almost like controlling an NPC character or something. But no, I'm not a cat lover at all. I'm the complete opposite. So that, for one, doesn't do it justice for me. And if anything, I didn't care too much about. I mean, visually, yes, it looks great. But overall, no, it doesn't really do much for me. So personally, it sits under not on my radar for me. But I'm happy for it to stay where it is.
I think if we'd seen more of it, perhaps,
yeah, maybe I'll change my mind.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Scott, just quickly, where are you on Stray?
Yeah, it similar to Luke. Actually, it would be in my lower top 10. The last gameplay trailer that they showed, I think, looked really good. Obviously published by Annapurna, which everything they touch turns to gold, generally speaking. So, but I'm not going to argue too much with it being an honourable mention.
No, fair dues. Okie doke. Well, that brings us on to you next, Scott. We'll try and speed things up slightly because we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah. So this one, mainly because I don't really have an awful lot to say about it, is Ghostwire Tokyo, which I would put probably not on my radar, unless obviously anyone has any particular interest. It's kind of fell to the wayside a little bit recently after its last delay. And I originally thought it looked interesting, but because we haven't heard or seen anything in so long, it's kind of just it slipped off. And because 2022 is so stacked, it's kind of and obviously with it being PlayStation exclusive as well, I appreciate that shouldn't necessarily go against it too much, but from personal perspective, it's not on there at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that you feel the same, Luke, to be honest, because I thought it was going to get honourable mention, but I'm not too disappointed it's not on radar because I don't think I'd be parting with 70 quid for it or whatever it's going to be.
Oh no, I disagree.
Okay,
it won't be top 10. Because I haven't seen enough of it, but I really like Tango Gameworks, and this looks, at least aesthetically, very original, very creative, very different. I'm a big fan of horror games, so it kind of automatically gets a tick. But I can understand. I can understand the rationale. I think.
Yeah, I'm happy to bump it up to be fair, because I say I was interested when it was first announced. It's more just kind of like the silence that we've had in it recently.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
And that it's potentially coming out a lot. It's coming out a lot sooner than people anticipated as well, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, very much so. And it's Shinji Mikami is in the background somewhere doing some stuff on it. So
Well,
let's bump it up. Let's bump it up. Let's be positive.
Well, let's give Puxley the casting vote. Where would you put it?
Oh, sorry. When I first saw this, I was very intrigued by it. Again, not seen it for a while, but I would personally put it in honourable mention.
Okay,
it was me.
That's where it goes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Okie doke. Excellent. Well, Puxley, while we're on you, what's next? How many have we got? We've got 5 left that we need to whittle down before we're into our top 10.
Yeah, not on my radar. Mario plus Rabbids.
Yep.
That's a.
Please fight it, but again,
terrible choice.
I mean, you should all know me by now. I absolutely love the Super Mario games, but it's the XCOM gameplay I just can't get out. I mean, a lot of people have said to me, or rather, I've seen online people saying that it's not so bad. You kind of get into it, but I don't know. I just can't. I just can't.
I mean, I Scott, I don't know what you think. I absolutely loved the first one. It was incredibly good.
Yeah, one of the biggest
Surprisingly
surprises of
good.
that year.
Yeah.
If you said to me Mario and Rabbids in a strategy game
Yeah.
beforehand, I would have laughed you out the
Yeah.
bloody room. But that
Yeah,
game
yeah.
genuinely was superb. It
Yeah.
really was superb. But obviously, if you don't like those types of games, I can understand
Yeah, I
why
get that.
it wouldn't.
I mean,
it
I'm
wouldn't
happy for it
intrigue
to
you.
be bumped one, but I don't think it's in anyone's top 10, is it? It's not in your top 10, right? Either of you?
It's in my top 5.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
I would.
It's
Yeah.
my 11, I would say. So,
Okay.
so yeah.
Luke.
Oh god. Okay, I am going to go with honorable mention. Dying Light 2.
Oh. Okay, doke. Go on.
Really enjoyed Dying Light. Really cool game. Very much looking forward to this. There's a lot of good stuff this year left on that contenders list that I'm more excited for than Dying Light 2, but I will be getting Dying Light 2.
Okay. No, that's cool. It's got a huge story, apparently, and many hours you can sink into it. Does that put anyone off?
Developers need to stop talking about that as if it's a positive, because it's not. It's not.
I agree.
Yeah.
If BMG's in the chat, I blame Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just Ubisoft in general, really.
Yeah,
as well.
that's true. Yeah, that $500 tweet there, they have rolled it back several times.
I thought Dying Light might actually make it into the top 10 at some level, this end of 10, if I'm honest. But kind of, I guess honourable mention is kind of where we're pitching 11 and 12 for all of those games, if that kind of makes sense. But any pushback on honourable mention?
No, I agree with that.
Okay, are we round to me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now this is going to be an interesting pick. A really interesting pick.
There's a few I want to put in there, but only because I don't really know them. Because they're obviously Nintendo games, so I feel like I can't really touch those. I'm torn between a couple, and I am willing to be pushed back, but I'm going to put Final Fantasy into honorable mention.
No, I'm gonna have to. Well, honorable mention. 16 is my 10, right? So it just cracks the top 10. I really love Final Fantasy. I actually quite enjoyed 15. It was a bit of a mess, but I quite enjoyed it. This one excites me because I think it's the same studio. It's the same internal dev that have been making 14.
Yeah,
which is, I still haven't played it, but go and watch like Easy Allies Game of the Year list where Endwalker just appears everywhere all the time and they rave about it, and it's apparently fantastic. So I'm quite optimistic about it for that reason, but I can understand why people will put it in honorable mention, particularly after 15.
Well, I'm not a massive Final Fantasy fan anyway to start off with, and I appreciate it for what it is, and that people absolutely love it, and anything that makes anything that gets to 16 is like wow. Any pushbacks on that at all from anyone else?
No, I think if we'd seen a bit more, seen more, like this, likely later this year, will probably bump up that list. I think when they next show this off, I think it has a good chance of really getting people excited. But we've really seen very little apart from the initial trailer, which does look better than 15. But coming off the back of 15 so far, I think that's fair.
Okie doke. Well, you've got the podium. What's next?
So the next one I'm going to put in there on the basis that I didn't play the first game, it is in my backlog, but I know a lot of people really like this game, and that is A Plague Tale Requiem. No. I'll put that as an honorable mention. It is on my radar, but it's probably as far as I can go, like I say, because I haven't yet played the first game. I know people are excited. It's coming to Game Pass as well, which I think was a pretty big get for Microsoft. Obviously, Microsoft and Asobo have a pretty tight relationship, it seems, these days. But it's purely on the basis that I'm yet to play the first game. Although, like I say, I know people are very excited for it. That I would put it where it is.
Well, I really enjoyed the first game. I enjoyed the fact that it was a surprise. It was much better than I was expecting. So, as a game in its own right, is it brilliant? It's good, and I really enjoyed it. Pucks, Luke, where are you pitching Plague Tale?
I think this is the right place personally. I as you said, I didn't finish the first one, but I did enjoy it, and it's one of those. It's definitely one of those surprise games. But I don't think it. It's for me. It's not big enough in my view for it to be in my top 10.
Okay, Luke.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one, and I'm really excited for the sequel. But I'd put it honorable mention. It's not in my top 10.
Excellent. Okie doke. Huxley, you get the you get the last one.
I was going to say this is tough, but I don't think it is. But only because I don't think we know too much about the game. I think you may all know where I'm getting at. But
I don't think Luke and Fox are on the same page here.
No, that's
no, look.
What?
No.
No.
What did you think I was going to say?
Sonic Frontiers.
No,
definitely not. No, definitely not. That is in the top 10, 100%.
God. No.
All right, go on then. Talk us through Somerville.
Well, this is the problem. I know it's made by the same people as Limbo and Inside. I didn't play much of Limbo. Really did enjoy Inside, and this is their next game. But we don't really know too much about it, do we? And I've been trying to look things up about it and stuff. But apart from a few kind of teaser trailers, there's not really much in terms of gameplay that I've been able to find, and I don't remember much of it. So at least for me, it's kind of fallen through the cracks to the point where I'm not super. I mean, compared to the rest of the list, let's bear that in mind. It's not just I don't care about it at all. Compared to what I have to compete with, this is not that high up. So I'm moving it on, I'm afraid.
Any pushback?
Fight me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I completed both Inside and Limbo just this year, like in these past couple of weeks. And those are two. Even I think Limbo's like over a decade old now, or it might be about a decade old. Those games are just unbelievable, and I know what you're saying, Pox, where we haven't seen much. But I don't think you need to see much if you've played those two games. I think we kind of know what we're going to get, and I think it's going to be this is top 3 for me personally.
What would you replace it with then? I mean, for me, if I was to replace it with anything, my next pick would have been Redfall.
Yeah, I would swap with Redfall as well. I think what they've shown of that game, it has potential, but they've shown a CG trailer, and while I think the studio that are making it have good pedigree, I think this is in a different direction. It's a co-op shooter, which I think is sort of not kind of where their experience lies, and I think co-op shooters are something particularly this year over the next couple of years are going to be games that are. I think there's going to be a lot of them. So is it going to stand out? I'm not too sure. Obviously, I hope it does, and I am looking forward to it. But I wouldn't put that.
So do we want to trade Somerville for Redfall then? Pucks,
yeah,
your second
if
choice.
Luke the same as well. I'm happy to swap Redfall in its place. Yeah. Luke, you don't want to disagree with me.
No. I mean, it's actually not by Playdead Somerville. It's by Dino Patty's new studio.
Okay.
What do you call it again? He's Jump Ship. Yeah.
Jump Ship. Yeah. So, but Dino Patty was one of the co-founders of Playdead, so you know exactly the type of game. Although he has said, he does have a lot of differences to stuff like Inside and Limbo, but the setting, like the pedigree behind that game and what we've seen so far, and the setting and the music, it's my number 2 game.
Wow.
Like it's
wow. Okay.
So I totally agree with Redfall, because I think it's got totally. We've only seen a CG trailer. I like the concept. I don't like the idea of Arcane working on something that isn't immersive sim, to be honest. Which this definitely won't be. It won't be immersive sim like those games, because you can't do that in a multiplayer setting. It could be really cool. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. So yeah, I'd put Redfall honorable mention because it has a lot of potential and has great kind of pedigree studio behind it. And I love vampires, but yeah, I agree. I agree with that swap.
Okay, well that's locked in. I agree. I'm getting bored with the co-op shooter side of things. I don't know. They're okay for a bit, but I put them down very quickly, to be honest. So interesting. So Luke, you're the first into the top 10, and what's going in number 10?
I can't believe this is like some of these games that we're left with top 10. It should not be here. I don't think. But,
which ones? Which ones?
Yeah,
well, there's 2 in particular, which definitely shouldn't.
I know one of them.
In fact, actually, just one shouldn't be here potentially.
And you're
which
wrong,
is,
but just saying.
which is Sonic Frontiers. So I'm gonna have to put that.
We did it,
as
Pucks. We did it. We got it in the top 10.
It deserves to be a lot higher, in my opinion.
It does not deserve. How does Sonic Frontier from a panning trailer of environments, of which there was significant frame rate stutter?
That is all we've
knowing
had.
knowing the history of Sonic 3D games, how is Frontiers top 10?
Because a lot of
Sonic
games are doing
Adventure
this
1
open
was a
worldy concept from
masterpiece.
games that haven't usually done it before, and a lot of for the most part, they've come out to be very well done. And I think Pokemon is another game where it needed a big revamp from the normal formula. It went open world, people were excited, yet they questioned it, and reviews at the moment are looking phenomenal for it. But Sonic, I think, given the type of gameplay it usually has, I'd like to think it's going to be more adventure style, but at the same time in an open environment. So it's that mixture of Boost Sonic, which are the latest series, which for the most part have been meh, but it's such a new direction for Sonic. I think that's why I'm super looking forward to it, and I think it deserves to be a lot higher.
Yeah, I do concur with Luke though. We've hardly seen the pedigree's not there in terms of recent 3D Sonic games, and obviously we haven't seen anything of it. But
Scott, I mean, where do you think it sits in?
Yeah, I'm just happy to hit top 10. I count that as a win, Pucks. You're not going to hear me arguing.
I would have it higher personally, but I mean, if it's going to be 3 against 1, then
yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm excited because it's a new 3D Sonic game. I like Sonic games, but I think we can't deny that we've got to approach it with an air of caution, because it is a 3D Sonic game after all. The best Sonic game that they've released in decades is Sonic Mania, which is obviously a 2D game. But I think Pucks is also right. It's potentially a new direction that could, be a really good 3D Sonic game on what we've seen so far. Which
Luke, don't misunderstand me. I'm not putting it above God of War. So.
well,
that clear,
good for that.
It shouldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't be above pretty much the majority of those honourable mention lists, to be honest. But...
Luke, you could have got rid of it.
You could have binned it. You could have binned it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought sense would prevail before we got to the top 10.
Okay. Me next, and I'm going to have to pick a game I've not played and don't really know the series at all, I'm afraid. So I'm going to have to stick that at 9, only because there's the rest of the titles I want to be higher, and I don't really know much about Splatoon 3. I'm happy to be educated. It seems to be at number 9. Scott, educate me.
This is my
I had Luke grumble as well. So
it's your number 1.
Yeah. So I think what we got to, I think what's probably worth mentioning at this stage when we're talking about a lot of these games, particularly from my perspective, there's a lot of games on here that I'm simply not going to play. I'm not going to play Elden Ring. It's not my genre. I'm not going to play Horizon Forbidden West or God of War Ragnarok. Now, I'm obviously not going to take those out because I know they're going to be fantastic games. So I'm kind of torn. Like, those games are high as like an anticipated game for this year. I know they are. I think the top 4 are probably locked in realistically. But from my perspective, it's difficult to get excited for a game that I'm not going to play because I don't have a PS5 and I'm unlikely to get a PS5. As I mentioned, my PS4 is broke. So I'm probably not going to play them for maybe a year or two, or if they come to PC and I can finally get a good GPU. But Splatoon 2 was a bloody awesome online shooter. Like it kind of, we spoke about Mario and Rabbids earlier. It was such a surprise. It's such a refreshing take on that genre. And I think the only thing that really holds it back is Nintendo's shitty online infrastructure, unfortunately. But what they've shown of it so far looks really good. They've added some new mechanics to it that I think look fantastic. And if you're into any sort of shooting game and you want something that's just a little bit different, this game, honestly, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people. I think it'll be up there. And on this list, it's the only thing that would rival it is Breath of the Wild 2. Personally, I'm obviously not going to fight for it too hard because I appreciate I might be alone in that. Although I think,
let's find out with it because I do have a second. I did I was toying with another one. So, Pucks, what's your take on Splatoon 3?
I think you should go to Luke first. I think.
Okay, Luke.
No, I agree with Scott. It's not as high for me, but it's Splatoon. I mean, the first one's really good. The second one's amazing. And I can't give it any other higher praise than it's a multiplayer game that I absolutely love. which tells you kind of how good I think
Okay.
it is. So,
Pucks?
yeah.
I thought he was going to fight back on that one. That's fine. No, I'm happy with it. I did play the second one, really enjoyed it. Really looking forward to the third one.
Well, let me give you my other thoughts on this, and it's along a similar lines. The other one I was considering was Pokemon Legends, sticking that there. So if you want to swap Splatoon 3 for Pokemon Legends at 9...
Personally, I would swap it because
you would.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know what Legends is like. It's very good, but apparently, but I think Splatoon 3 will no doubt be better.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you okay with that, Pucks?
Yeah, prefer that.
I mean, I'm going to be vetoed anyway. I probably would have done Splatoon and then Pokemon. But I'm happy for that swap. That's fine.
Interesting. Right. Well, it comes to you next, Scott.
Okay, so I think this is going to have to be more of a conversation because, as I just mentioned there about some of these games, it's going to be difficult for me to start placing these games here. Now, looking at these, I'm going to try to take this from kind of not a personal perspective and kind of just see what the general consensus is on a lot of these games. And I think Luke will probably disagree with this, and he'll probably know where I'm going because I've said that. I would probably put number 8 as Sifu. I think the game looks fantastic. I really do think it looks great. But when you compare it to the rest of this list, and again, I'm trying to take sort of a little bit of my personal opinion out of it because I would put it ahead of Elden Ring, but I think the general consensus is people are more excited for Elden Ring than Sifu. Yeah, I'll probably put that at number 8.
Okay, interesting. I'm not going to counter that, I don't think. I'm really interested in this game, but I guess looking at the rest of the list, it's like, yeah, that's kind of where it feels like it belongs for me. I guess other than Splatoon that I'm not really aware of. Pucks, Luke? Conquer?
I agree. I'm the same as that. I mean, I'd maybe put it higher, but again, Scott's already said it. Given what else we have to try and put in somewhere, this feels like the right place.
Yeah, no, I also agree.
Cool.
I'm really looking forward to it, but yeah, I think 8's a good position.
Excellent. Okie doke. Puxley, that comes to you.
I feel like now, I was going to say maybe now feels like the right time to put Splatoon 3 back in, but it was either that or Somerville. But I know Luke has it quite high on his list.
It's pretty tough now.
It is. I'm balancing between Somerville and Splatoon 3. Let's go Splatoon 3.
Right.
Number 7.
Okie doke. Okay, well, it's been in and taken out. I don't think we can take it out for a second time. I think yes, 7 is where it ends up. Okie doke. This is going to be interesting. Luke?
Yeah, I'm really curious of what Luke's going to pick from this list.
Yeah. So yeah, it might be controversial, but I'll try and explain why. I'm going to put Starfield at 6.
Wow.
And I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree as well. Just to get it out there.
Yeah, well, that's good. So it's not controversial at all. Brilliant.
Go on, Flat. Tell us why we're wrong.
No. I think I was expecting it higher, but like you say, that's without looking at what else is yet to come. So yeah, I think that's right. To be honest,
I also think this game has a good chance of being delayed, and we've seen nothing of it. Similar to Redfall, we've seen so little of it. But it obviously comes with the pedigree of Bethesda behind it and that team. So I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right, bloody hell, down to me. I'm going to go with Elden Ring next, I think. Yeah, it's top 5. Yeah, I don't know how well I'm going to get on with that game, so it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Interested to hear everyone else's thoughts, Scott.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously, I mentioned this genre just isn't really for me. But honestly, this is probably, if I'm going to try the genre, this is probably the game that I'm probably going to jump into. I'm not going to go back to Dark Souls, and I'm unlikely to play Demon Souls or Bloodborne. So this might be one that I actually end up picking up at some point this year, depending on obviously how the year pans out. Maybe to just try it. But I think that's a good spot, especially when you consider what's left.
Okay, no, fair dues. Pucks, is it something you're going to pick up? I'm guessing not.
Yeah, well, no, we spoke about Elden Ring a couple shows ago, and again, typically it's not my type of game, but I've been really intrigued by what I've seen gameplay-wise and trailer-wise, and I remember Luke saying that, if you think you like it, give it a shot kind of thing, and maybe not necessarily at launch, but it's definitely something I think I'd like to pick up eventually.
No, fair dues. Luke?
Disagree with it. It's my
it should be higher.
free. Yeah, it's my free.
Yeah, I thought it might be, but you
I
like.
Understand.
Yeah, you like your Souls games.
I understand why. Yeah. If you love Souls games, it's easily going to be one of your top most anticipated games. If you don't, I can totally understand why it would be lower.
Okie doke. Right. Well, Scott, you're up next.
How do I even pick from these games? What to pick? Okay, so the rationale behind this choice is because I think it has. Oh no, I can't really say that based on what's going to be my number one. So what I was going to say is the reason I was going to put God of War at number 4 is just on the basis that I don't know if it's actually going to hit this year, but the same could be said of Breath of the Wild 2. And I actually think Breath of the Wild 2 has less of a chance of hitting than God of War, but Breath of the Wild is my number 1. Horizon Forbidden West, number 4. I think let's go with that. I think what they've shown recently looks awesome. Genuinely, I don't know if you've seen the PS4 screenshots and videos, like how on earth Guerrilla have got the game looking that really good on previous gen hardware is outstanding. But I think maybe reading the room, particularly from people who are fans of those games and the excitement levels, while I know people are really excited for Forbidden West, I know people are even more excited for God of War. But I do think there's a very good chance that maybe misses this year. Not a very good chance, a chance, I should say.
Okay, doke. I kind of concur with that, I guess. I wasn't a massive fan of the first one. I enjoyed it, but Pucks, Luke?
I agree with this placement.
Yeah, I think I can't wait. I love the first one. I can't wait for this one. But compared to those other 3, it's a little lower.
Yeah, well, that's sitting on Puxley's shoulders as we speak. What do you put next?
Oh, this one's easy. Number 3 is Somerville.
Yeah, that was cool. But I still think for an indie game to crack a top 3 on such a stack list, I think speaks volumes for that game.
Wow. Okay. Luke, you kind of you kind of get to choose. Perhaps we should kind of decide between us. But Luke, you go first. What's your thought process?
So I'm just I need to pull up my own list because I can't remember where I placed some of these. Okay. So I think it's really like both of these have the potential to be absolutely incredible, and they also have the potential to be delayed. I think God of War is more likely to remain in 2022 than Breath of the Wild. And I think your preference on this will come down to how invested you are in particular in the stories of the games.
Wow.
So for me, even though I think the first one is one of the greatest games ever made, it kind of just falls into second. So for me, I'd put Breath of the Wild 2 in second, and I would put God of War Ragnarok top. But you can make a easy case for either of those going top. I mean, they're both so anticipated.
Well, I will second that. That's the way round I would have put those as well. Puxley.
I would have swapped them personally.
Oh no! Oh no, I know what's going to happen.
Like Scott would have done
as well. Yeah, but I think
no.
I think obviously you should take my position from again, just to repeat myself, from somebody who's unlikely to be able to play Ragnarok anytime soon, which I think is really important context. While Luke is and I'm not too sure, Pucks, if you'll be playing Ragnarok.
No, I'd be playing it on PS4. I don't have a PS5.
Yeah,
so.
but I guess still you're going to be playing it when it comes out. So yourself and Luke are people who are going to be playing both, and me and Flap are maybe opposites, where we're only going to be able to play one, or we're probably only going to play one for various reasons. So yeah, but I'm not going to argue either way. I don't feel strongly enough. I can totally see why Ragnarok is what would be number one, and also I think out of the two, Breath of the Wild is the most likely to slip into 2023 as well.
Can I just say, BMG in chat, and I think it's a good idea, has just said do a poll, let the chat decide. So if we all agree with that, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm already over that. Yeah. Okay.
But I think at the same time, what Luke was saying is 100% correct as well. You know, they're both really top contenders, and it all kind of stems down to what kind of game you enjoy. And if you want a more in-depth story and that kind of thing, then God of War is the way to go. But you know, if you like the open world Zelda-esque Nintendo Touch adventure, then you know Zelda's the way to go. So yeah, it's a tough call.
Excellent. We'll talk amongst yourselves. I will just get this quickly typed up and get it out to the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say while you're doing that, I guess maybe a couple of shout outs from the chat for more games that we missed. Indy came in a little bit late and basically tore me to pieces for missing out a whole bunch of indie games. So yeah, chat, if we missed any, please shout out. But just a couple that Indy's mentioned in particular. He's mentioned Trek to Yomi, Replaced, Planet of Lana. One that I'm gutted I missed out. I don't think it would have cracked top 10, but Shredders. Is an indie.
Yeah, you've been on about that one.
Looking forward to that. It's coming out in March as well. And he's also mentioned Have a Nice Death. So yeah, is there any others that we might have missed that we've seen in chat, guys?
I'm really surprised we missed Have a Nice Death, because that's doing the rounds.
I don't even know. I don't really know what that is, if I'm being honest. I might have to quickly look that up.
Oh no, I like the look of this game as well.
Yeah, me too.
It's like a 2D. Yeah, go on, Luke. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it looks like just a cool little kind of indie 2D game, like hand-drawn kind of art, that kind of thing. You're deaf, hating your day job as being the Grim Reaper.
I'm just looking at it now. The art style looks very nice.
Yeah, I think Cult of the Lamb as well, Indy said, which looks Devolver game, which looks really, really cool. Another indie game.
So, you know, like you said earlier in the show, Luke, you know, all of these fantastic games, and the fact that we've missed some absolute bangers is a real testament to what 2022 is stacking up to be. And that, you know, that's purely just from a game's perspective. We've obviously got all of the excitement to happen this year as well, around kind of perhaps other acquisitions or some first party unannounced titles. You know, when we look particularly at Xbox, but I'm sure PlayStation and Nintendo are in a similar boat. You know, there's so many unannounced titles that studios are working on that I can only begin to imagine will be at least announced this year. Makes me wonder if there'll be any shadow drops. Do we think Forza Motorsport, something like that, might drop this year? Any shadow drops that you can think might happen?
Well, that's a tough question.
There undoubtedly will be. You know, they definitely will. It's difficult to say. I think that's the interesting thing about this list. Actually, there's not an awful lot of Xbox representation. Really, is there? So there's Starfield in there, but that would be multi-platform. But I was more talking about the top 10. But yeah, even in the entire list, there's only Redfall and Starfield that I guess Crossfire X, Stalker 2 is a timed exclusive, but there's not an awful lot of representation on Xbox there. I guess the hope is, you know, whenever there's summer game, you know, Xbox showcase comes about, that there might be a little bit more short, but I don't think there will be. I think Motorsport is maybe one, but I really don't expect an awful lot from Xbox the rest of this year. To be honest, I think it'll be 2023 before we start seeing like some Hellblade, Fable, Pepper Dot,
no, I agree, and I think that 2022 for perhaps Xbox is more of a year of announcements, perhaps, and like you say, trailers and stuff like that to perhaps build the hype for 2023 and beyond. And obviously, you know, with the acquisition, there'll be more details around that. So, you know, I still think that Xbox still very much have a lot of momentum rolling with them at the moment, but perhaps not so much in the spotlight of actually releasing games this year. So that's going to be fantastic. We've obviously got PSVR still to come. New hardware is always exciting. I think there's going to be more hardware announced throughout the year.
Would you be picking one of those up?
I will be pre-ordering it the second that they allow you to. Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, wow. Because I am now a VR convert, and I am going to buy fucking everything I can when it comes to VR. I am such a VR convert. It is unbelievable.
It's also
it makes me sick.
It's also so high spec that unit.
Yeah, for your point. Yeah.
That I think even if you're mildly interested and you have to, you're in a position which to be able to buy it, I think it's quite tempting just from that perspective to experience it.
Obviously, a huge thing is I've got a PS5. Luckily, I'm grateful for that, but I don't have to think about getting one of those as well, if that makes sense. And also, if you can use it for PC VR gaming, which I think the community are hoping that's going to happen, then I am all over that like a rash on. Well, you feel like the rest of that sentence. But I am an absolute VR convert, to be honest. And Scott, yes, everyone feels sick at first, but you do get your VR legs after about a week or so. It does happen.
Can I ask you then?
Go on.
Can I ask it? Have you still not touched your Xbox or anything since?
No. To be fair, I have touched the Xbox because I was actually playing Extraction the other day and absolutely hated it. I don't know if anyone else has actually had a chance to play it. It's just like, what the hell is this? I did not enjoy it at all. Go on.
We missed X Defiant off the list. How could we forget about X?
How could we forget?
What was it called? The top Tom Clancy X Defiant, where Punk meets something. I can't remember what they call it.
I plan to do an entire show on VR, and I like the fact that obviously Luke and myself, we can pitch VR, and perhaps Pucks and Scott, you can ask us the questions and stuff, and like I say, I'll take your point, Scott. But there is trust me, there is no substitute for actually being in Skyrim. Or crikey, what have I played? Half-Life Alyx.
You played Skyrim VR? Then?
Oh god, yeah.
How is it? Is it good?
It's okay. It's okay. It shows its age compared to more modern games, but something like Half-Life Alyx, oh my god! And I plan to do a video very soon, actually, because there is a BioShock mod for Half-Life, and you actually go down into Rapture. I will do a video on that. It is so fantastic and exciting. Anyway. Our poll is now about to close, and the results are in.
Can I ask one quick question?
Go for it.
To Pucks and Luke. If we had a release date for Silk Song at some point 2022, where would that have come in? Let's this list, maybe not your list. Where would you be putting it? Do you think? Because I know Indy mentioned Silk Song, and the only reason it wasn't in this list is it doesn't have a 2022 date at all. It's just kind of a TBD, but I know for indie games it's probably going to drop this year, I guess, but we're not going to know until maybe a month or two out. So where would that sit for you guys?
Is Luke first? Sorry, go Luke.
Yeah, top three for sure. Okay. I don't know where, but it would be top three. somewhere in there.
For me, Breath of the Wild number 1, Breath of the Wild 2 is number 1, and Silk Song would be second for me if it was coming up this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it'd be high on both your list. I'd be really curious. I'll not ask you to do it, Luke, but I'd be really curious how Breath of the Wild, God of War, Somerville, which one of them gets. I mean, I assume it's Somerville, but I know how excited you are for that.
I think, well, I kind of flip. So, Somerville was my number 2. Breath of the Wild would have been 3 in my actual list. So, maybe I would have pushed Breath of the Wild down slightly.
Oh, okay.
What? Outrageous.
I know.
It was just a theoretical question.
Well, funny you should say that, because that is exactly where Breath of the Wild is in the number 2 slot. below God of War Ragnarok. Does that come as a massive surprise to people? I don't think it does for me personally,
No,
but
not really.
yeah, it's.
If
It's
anything, I'm
obviously...
quite surprised we have 3 Nintendo games in this top 10.
It's actually it's quite a surprising list. I mean, Sonic Frontiers is just a travesty. But,
I can't believe we did it. I didn't think it stood a chance, but we did it.
To be honest, it is a strange way of doing this, isn't it? Because we do take it in turns, and we've all got as gaming is, we've all got very particular takes. I don't hardly ever play any Nintendo games, so I am a dumbass when it comes to Nintendo games. But I fully respect and acknowledge, Breath of the Wild, and obviously Pokemon. I understand those as franchises and the love that gamers have for them, but they just do not touch me in a way that I would want to play those. I guess it is difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard. And actually, I think it's a really good. Sonic Frontiers aside, it's a really varied, interesting list. I think there's stuff on there that's somewhat surprising that it's there, but not in a bad way. Apart from Sonic Frontiers.
To round up the show, and we are very much near the end, and I do appreciate everyone for their time. Obviously, being an Xbox-centric channel, Starfield at number 6. Is that because that is there a lack of trust around how it's going to be given sort of Fallout 76 and some of the Fallout games and stuff like that, or is it just beaten hands down by the competition above it?
For me personally, it's solely down to the fact that we don't really know much about it at all.
Right.
I mean, apart from the fact that it's an open world space game effectively, but we've not seen anything of it. And for me, that is why it's lower down. If we'd seen stuff, we can kind of get a good gauge of what kind of game it actually is and will be, rather than just what we all think it will be. Then I think no doubt it will be a lot higher.
Am I alone in thinking this? Because I absolutely love the Elder Scrolls. I adore the Elder Scrolls as a series, as you probably know. So when people describe Starfield as like Elder Scrolls in space, I'm thinking, well,
that's how they've described it.
Yeah, but the thing I love about Elder Scrolls is its setting and where it is and stuff like that. It's not really about its gameplay mechanics because they're all clunky and dated. So do you know what I'm saying? so to pitch it as an Elder Scrolls in space doesn't really tick my box, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think it ticks my box because I think Elder Scrolls. When I think Elder Scrolls, obviously, settings are a huge part of it, but also the faction elements and kind of the really in-depth role playing that you can do, and the implications that your actions have, and all that sort of stuff. So I get that, and I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I am excited about it. But I think it's a mixture of things that kind of make me pause on it, which is one, exactly as Puck said, we haven't seen anything on it apart from a couple of concepts and a very small teaser trailer. And two, Bethesda Game Studios, the last thing was Fallout 76. I know that wasn't, the proper Todd Howard led team necessarily, but that was a disaster. They've recovered it a bit. I mean, even before that, Fallout 4, I hated Fallout 4. I hated it. And I don't really like Fallout much anyway, but it kind of started to go away from a lot of the kind of good stuff that BGS do, in terms of their RPG stuff. So I'm a bit on the fence about it. I am excited. I'm really excited for it. And I think it will be a return to form, but it's hard to place it really high because you just don't know. I thought Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be game of the generation. It was shit, no idea.
I think Starfield has a really high ceiling in terms of its potential. But it's almost similar to kind of what I said about Final Fantasy 16, but at a different scale, which is like when we see more, it could shoot up the list. It could be that definitely. People, especially if things start slip, like if Breath of the Wild goes to 2023 and Starfield does hit 2022, then and especially if God of War slips as well, but like it could potentially be the biggest game that's released this fall. It's already up there without knowing anything about it, just because of who it's from. Yeah. And when we start seeing more, hopefully later this year, I'm hopeful that we're going to be super excited, but it's kind of like it's a cautious optimism at the moment. And that optimism is just based on the history of that studio. And from my perspective, I like the Elder Scrolls games, Flap. I don't share your passion for them quite as much. The sci-fi element is the bit that's got me most excited because I prefer the sci-fi setting over the Elder Scrolls setting. So yeah, I think this has a really good chance of really jumping up people's lists when we see a little bit more.
Yeah, absolute fair points, and yeah, absolutely concur. Pucks, I'm guessing you're of the same opinion.
Yeah, I've got nothing more to add to that. I completely agree.
Yeah, no, fair dues. Well, there we go. What we will do is we will take a screen capture of this final top 10 and all of our honourable mentions and beyond, and just see how perhaps 2022 actually pans out when we get to it. Like you say, will God of War Ragnarok actually launch this year? Will Starfield blow us all away and be, an absolutely fantastic game and potential game of the year? All of those kinds of questions, and we'll be able to find out. Perhaps Sonic Frontiers might blow your socks off, Luke. You never know.
It'll be on new Cyberpunk.
If it was new Cyberpunk, if it was new Cyberpunk, it'd be shit, which is what makes it to be. So,
I picked on Luke because you never know. Scott might be playing Strangers of Paradise for months and months yet to come. So, excellent.
Absolutely no chance.
Thank you very much. I did enjoy doing that. It was a little bit different from obviously the Game of the Year one because we don't know these games. There is, like you said, there is lots of these games, and actually a bit of a standout that actually some of these games, all we've seen is bloody CG trailers and stuff like that. Even though we're excited for them and they're on our list. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, chat, for being here. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure you disagree, but that's kind of what this show's all about. It's about putting your opinion across and having your say, I guess, and chat. I hope you feel like you've been involved. Thank you very much for being here. We will be doing it again next Thursday, and hopefully I might try and bring you that VR show where we can talk about kind of Xbox. Apple are bringing out a new VR headset and just kind of all things like that. So fantastic. Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a good week. Safe gaming, and we will see you on the next one.